Hello and welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. My name is Dr. Joe Moore and I'm the chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri. And it's my pleasure every week to get to sit down and visit with some of our alumni. I talk to some in digital media production, others in communication studies, and some who got their master's degree. Today, we're visiting with Devin Negrete Harvey. Devin got her degree in digital media production. She was one of our first students in sports broadcasting. She did some work with KMOS. She did some work with UCM Media Network. And she's just an all-around great gal, and I'm so glad to get to see you. Devin, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's great to have you back. And so as we get started, what I like to do with everybody is give us a little bit of your background. What got you to UCM, and then what are you doing today?
Sure. So what got me to UCM is a little bit of a wonky story. I did go to community college first, and so I did 2 years there, and then I actually went to Missouri Western for just a semester before I transferred to UCM for actually nursing, because UCM was the only school that didn't require me to have a certain math course. And luckily in journalism, unless you or decide to go do any banking reporting, you don't really need a whole lot of math. So,
Right.
because that's not my strong suit.
Hear that story
So
all the time.
yeah, like numbers just not my thing. But I came to UCM for nursing, and then I switched over to PR and took sports broadcasting along with intro to PR that first semester. And I ended up falling in love with it. The second, you threw me in front of the camera, it was a blast. I'm a person who loves sports, and getting to apply myself in that way, it was very, very outside of my comfort zone, very out of the box. I mean, I am a very, as you know, outgoing person, still am. But it was a different outlet for me and a different experience that it opened my eyes that I never even thought about doing. I was one of those people that, like, when you graduate from high school, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, which is why I went to so many schools to try and figure it out. But I got it figured out. And now I currently work as a marketer. I do digital communications, and I run my own social media business. So it's been quite a journey, because I did stick to journalism and TV broadcast for 5 years, and then I merged into a different realm. But I will say that because of the route that I took, I am a very valuable employee. I know my current employers, like, they really enjoy what I bring to the table. What I bring to the table is very unique because of my video skill set that I bring to the table. And I'm also doing media training with a lot of the partners at our CPA firm that I'm currently working with. So trying to coach them on how to be in front of the camera, because not everybody is super comfortable to be in front of a camera. So, working with accountants, the people who know the numbers, I say I work at an accounting firm, and I'm like, let me keep it clear. I do the marketing. I don't do the accounting. Do not trust me with your budget. So yeah, it's different, but yeah, it's been a long journey, and this is where we are.
I love that you were open enough to share that, you really weren't sure when you graduated high school, and you tried a couple of different things, because I think as I've been going on the road and recruiting and talking to high school students, several of them are saying, I just don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to get into. And I tell them all, that's okay. One of the largest majors we have on campus is open options. It's for students who know they want a degree, but they're not sure what they want to do with it. And for you, it sounds like it took some exploring. It's a large jump from nursing to PR and journalism and digital media, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, y'all, I went through 5 majors before I landed on the one that you stole me to be part of, because I did. I was declared as a PR major before I switched it. But it was being able to get to experience. I think that's the hard part about, I would say that was the hard part for me about school. I mean, it was easier for me just because I knocked out a lot of my education through my associate's degree. So when I got to a 4-year school, I was able to 100% give my all to what I wanted to focus on. So I would say that, it is a little scary because I did everything in 5 years. Like I went through all those majors in a couple schools, 3 total in 5 years, which is probably not something that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
but but it can be scary, but getting to experiment with that and really find what your niche is, because it's difficult to figure out what you want to do if it's not really ingrained in your future.
Now, you didn't have any broadcasting or journalism or anything background coming out of high school, right?
Nope, none.
And that's another thing we talk to a lot of students about is, we get the students who have done their school had a big broadcasting program, and they did a weekly newscast, and they did their own student films. And then we get students who haven't done anything, didn't have any kind of a background like that. How hard was it for you to make that transition then when you got to college to start picking up those skills?
It's a little bit different for myself because when I went to community college, I did take a class where I found out what kind of learner I was, which was so crucial into moving forward and how I absorbed information through school. Like I am a hands-on learner. So it was easier for me to pick up, like I know how to, somebody would be like, let me show you how to do it. And I'd say, let me do it. And you tell me how to do it because I will learn it faster by doing it myself, because that's the type of learner I am. So it was a little different for me since I am a hands-on learner for audio or visual. Like if you're an audio or visual learner, like watching YouTube or watching videos, finding different ways to learn is really helpful. So it was a little bit easier for me to make that transition. But as from you could tell from my first semester to my second semester in front of the camera was a world of difference because I took the summer to really study on how it's actually done by the professionals. And that's a memory that's very vivid in my mind.
And I remember exactly what you're talking about because you were one of our first sideline reporters. You said that's really what you wanted to do during sporting events. It's like at a football game, you were a sideline reporter. And your first time out of the gate, you were okay. I mean, we were learning it at the same time because you were one of
Right.
the first students to come through the sports broadcasting, and you knew kind of what we expected out of the sideline reporter, what we were going to be coming to, when we were going to be coming to you, so you kind of could anticipate that. Putting the little fine tuning to it and the polish to it was getting there. And then I remember specifically, and you probably know the same story I'm going to tell. You interviewed former President Chuck Ambrose, and you
hmm
were on the sideline, and you did your intro, and you interviewed him on the sideline, and it was over. I remember you reaching up and touching his arm and leaning in and thanking him for being there, and you came back to us and back to you guys, and I sprinted down the stairs from the press
Yep.
box to you to high five you because you nailed it. It was so good. You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
remember everything about that day. The intro of coming to me, like the introduction of talking about like the first hit to me and then the second hit with Dr. Ambrose. And it was, I had spent that summer and the previous year after I had gone through it a little bit, really studying like Erin Andrews. She was one of the people like Erin Andrews, Holly Rowe, Allie LaForce. Like I watched them and I studied them. And I also had the opportunity for 2 years in a row, whenever, oh, I can't think of her name right now. For the first year, but I learned from when CBS came and they covered one of our games.
Yeah.
I got to shadow the sideline reporter, and I really absorbed a lot of what she had to say. And like, this is what I typically take notes on. This is what I look out for.
I forgot about that.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and then the following year with BJ Kissel, who I ended up, developing a relationship with, and am still connected with him today. but yeah, it would getting those experiences, like the school really gave me a lot of tools that I think that other students, they don't really get by being part of the UCM Media Network.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, BJ Kissel had been a baseball player and a one of
Mhm.
our majors here before the head coach transferred and went to Kansas State. BJ went with him, and then he ended up being the in-game reporter for the Kansas City Chiefs. He now runs his own podcast business out of Kansas City. So, yeah, that's a great connection to have right there. I'm going to use one word to describe Devin, and that's fearless. You always took on any challenge. You weren't afraid of what people said. You weren't afraid of, I'm not sure how to do this. And you got a huge opportunity when Sean Jones, our former associate AD, left to go be athletic director at Henderson State. He had
Mhm.
hosted Sports Page. And Devin and another student said, I want to do that. And the president at the time said, good, because I want students doing that. And you two stepped up there, you auditioned, you got the job, and you were the host of Sports Page. What did that mean to you?
It meant so much because it opened so many opportunities. It really showed me what it takes to be able to, one, read a teleprompter, because it's a lot different reading a teleprompter than it is just going on the fly. Which I will say, going on the fly is a lot more difficult than it is reading a teleprompter. But it was such a great opportunity for me because I was able to build a demo reel, which is what you need to present to media outlets whenever you are applying for jobs. Speaking of being fearless, it reminds me of whenever uh, it was a men's basketball game. It was my second year there, and we were on our way to the national championship. And it was the end of the game. And I remember, I don't remember who my camera person was, but I just grabbed them and we ran to the middle of the court. And I snagged a couple interviews with players to get that, which really helped because then I was able to take that when I went to the national championship, thanks to, the school, thanks to KMOS being sent there because of Sports Page. I was able to go and cover that and get that experience, which, a lot of students just don't, get that capability to be able to experience that. And that was gold content for me to use for my demo reel whenever I landed my first job. And it takes a while to, when you're looking for broadcast jobs, you're not going to get your first one, but it takes 3 to 6 months to really, I don't know what the market is like right now, but whenever I was in school and graduated, it took me 6 months to get my first job, but I made a lot of connections through my internship. And that really helped me land my role. And I think a lot of my demo reel and what I put together was part of that. And I couldn't have had that if I didn't have KMOS and the UCM Media Network.
So you talked about your experience in journalism and broadcast journalism has really helped you in your career today. We get a lot of students anymore that are getting into those marketing roles because of those skills. Talk a little bit about what you do on a daily basis with your job and how you're able to use the digital media skills to apply there.
Yes, I will say it was a little different from whenever I went from journalism and working in a news station and having 8 hours to put together a minute and a half worth of content in a story, and then turning around and going to like a normal 9 to 5 job that it's like slower pace, like you don't have to be on it all the time. So that was a very different transition. But, like I said in the beginning, I use a lot of my video content. I use a lot of what I've learned from social media, because whenever I did start, putting your information, getting the news out through social media was just starting around that time. So this is in 2015, 2016 is when journalists started reporting through Twitter mainly. Twitter was like a big outlet to share what was going on. So they got the information right away. So that's kind of whenever it started to get that information out. And so I already had been in the social media realm and learned, okay, this is how you need to communicate through social media, learning about your audience, learning about your target audience. and then taking that information and transitioning it into marketing. Because as I did that, like I grew with social media and how social media was transforming for businesses and how it was important for businesses to be on social media and showcase, whatever it may be. Currently, right now, where I'm at, we showcase how our firm, we are the experts in what we do. And then we also use it to target for recruiting. This is how we reach out to students reach out to students or potential employees, is through our recruiting, by showcasing what we're doing at the firm for our employees and what we can provide, the benefits that we can provide to them. So taking everything and all my experience and then incorporating video. I mean, video has now become the best way to communicate through social media. So I have all of this experience on shooting my own stories and capturing these different moments and getting these different clips. And so then I can take that and then I can transition it into a marketing, communications, social media manager role. And it truly makes a very valuable employee for a lot of companies.
That's outstanding. Yeah, it's just we keep talking all the time about how the skills that we teach, whether it's in communication studies where you can do virtually anything, or digital media production, where I mean, the skills we're teaching, you can really translate communication as communication, but the
Mhm.
technical skills, those hard skills, it doesn't just have to be in movie making or in sports broadcasting or in journalism. It can be in marketing, in PR, in really anything. So glad to see that you're able to put that to use in a different area. What's next for Devin? You have been somebody who has really always been thinking on the go, and what's the next way you can use your skills, and how can you grow? So what's next for you?
So I currently work full time at a CPA firm, but I also have run my own business on the side for 4 years now, actually, as a social media manager. So I get clients, a lot of local clients, to help them with their social media. So alleviating the pain of the marketing that is behind social media, because it all, when people ask me, what did you go to school for? Or like, what do you do? And I say, well, like, I'm in communications, because I feel like communications is the umbrella, and then PR, marketing, social media, it all, video production, it all falls underneath the communications umbrella because they all intertwine together. So that's what my focus is with that side of my business. But I'm constantly, learning, because as we know, social media is ever evolving with the algorithms and staying up to date. So right now I'm just coasting and building my family, because as it's different, whenever I did start in journalism, like I lived in Missouri, I lived in Georgia, I moved to Colorado, I now live in Syracuse, New York. So that's what journalism does. That's what broadcast does, is you are in different seasons. Marketing does allow you to slow your life down a little bit and put you in a different season to be able to focus on whatever priority that might be at the moment. Right now, that's, growing my family. But I'm still, along with growing my family, I'm still keeping intact with what I'm working on in the communications field today.
Yeah, we talked about that before came on. You've got a little boy. How old is he now?
He's 15 months.
15 months and about to be a big brother. So
Yes.
congratulations. I'm very excited.
Yes.
What's he think about that tree behind you?
He's like, he sees it, but he doesn't really play with it, and I'm not mad about
Really?
it. Yeah, I know.
You don't want to
I
have
was
to keep
like,
redecorating?
I know. I was like, this is going to be interesting. Thankfully, I have a lot of plastic ornaments, and I strategically placed all the ornaments, but he doesn't really bother it. There are other decorations he has bothered. So I'm like, okay, those were the stockings. They used to be there. Now they're over on the window higher up, so he can't pull them down. So
Always learning.
yes, no matter if it's in education and you're always learning, or in your life, you are always learning. You're learning a new lesson every single day. So
That's right.
learning applies in all aspects of your life.
Yeah. Well, speaking of learning and always learning, my last question for everybody has been, what is one piece of advice would you give to a current UCM student And what's a piece of advice you'd give to a potential UCM student who's thinking about coming here and studying communication and digital media?
So any potential student, I would say keep an open mind. But to both areas, I would say get involved. Get involved, throw yourself into whatever you can, because if you don't, you're going to miss so many opportunities. That's what I did. I threw myself into every single opportunity that I was given, that was put in front of me. I was given the opportunity to be a sideline reporter. I was given the opportunity to be on KMOS. I was given the opportunity to travel to a national championship. Like I had a full-time, well, no, I had a part-time job at the time that I was able to work with. So then I could take advantage of these opportunities, because by doing that, that is what solidified my future. That's how I got to where I am today. All of the experiences that I've had. I mean, one of the coolest things, two of the coolest things that I got to do is I got to walk when the Royals won the World Series. I got to walk in the parade. I got to cover that and walk in the parade. Like as somebody from Kansas City, diehard Royals and Chiefs fan, that was one of the coolest things on the planet. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't take advantage of other opportunities. I mean, same with standing in the middle of a hurricane in Savannah, Georgia. That is like the eye of the storm, not that far away from me. It's at 2 a.m. and I'm getting beat to death by rain. But I wouldn't have been able to experience a lot of these things if I didn't take advantage of everything that the school had to offer me and get involved in programs in any way, shape, or form that I could.
Well, you heard it right there. Get involved, be like Devin, be fearless, try new things. Devin, I am so proud of you. I knew you were going to make it big at some point because of your attitude, because you were willing to try new things, because you were fearless. So keep on keeping on, keep doing what you're doing, and take care of that family.
Thank you so much.
All right, it's been great to have you. Thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode with our YouTube channel through UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks as always to Jake Mager for creating our theme music. Again, this is Dr. Joe Moore reminding you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.